The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight.
None of this is acceptable. This is just a blatant extortion.
The partisan chaos in Washington continues over Obamacare, and many Americans could get hurt. Tonight, we'll bring you the latest on this disgraceful exposition, and Charles Krauthammer will analyze.
You are suggesting that you are the chosen one, Bill.
I'm not the chosen one. So what did you think about the 60 Minutes interview last night? We'll read some of your comments, and Bernie Goldberg will weigh in.
Do you find Putin attractive?
Not at all.
Also this evening, Waters' world goes to the United Nations immediately, causing trouble.
Now be honest, have you ever fallen asleep in one of these UN meetings?
Caution, you are about to enter the no-spin zone. The Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. The latest on the Obamacare fiasco. And that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Here's where we are right now. The House expected to send yet another bill back to the Senate that says there should be a one-year delay in forcing Americans to buy health insurance. Also, the new measure would force members of Congress and their employees to pay the full boat for their health coverage rather than get any subsidies. If the Senate says no, which of course it will, the government could shut down except for essential services. Earlier today, President Obama sounded defiant.
The Affordable Care Act is moving forward. That funding is already in place. You can't shut it down. This is a law that passed both houses of Congress, a law that bears my signature, a law that the Supreme Court upheld as constitutional, a law that voters chose not to repeal last November, a law that is already providing benefits to millions of Americans.
But surely President Obama can grant a waiver to folks who are not ready to sign up for Obamacare. He's done that for corporations and other concerns, right? The big problem is that Obamacare is a mess. No one knows how many doctors will participate. No one knows what the level of care will be. Will it take weeks to see a physician or schedule minor surgery? So the solution is to give Americans a choice. If you want to sign up beginning tomorrow for Obamacare, you can. If you want to opt out, you can for at least a year. And then we'll see if the Affordable Health Care Act is indeed affordable or a nightmare. The Congressional Health Stuff's a ruse, should be discarded immediately. It doesn't mean anything. Huge questions about Obamacare are in play this evening. For example, if feds are not doing background checks to certify incomes, that means a person could lie and get a subsidy he or she is not entitled to. The potential for fraud is massive. Insurance deductibles are still not defined. So while the cost of a health policy may go down for some, the deductible could go up and you get hosed. Many companies like Home Depot stopping medical insurance coverage completely for part-time employees, and some insurers like Aetna backing away from policies associated with Obamacare. So confusion reigns. But the big thing is the doctors. How many of them will participate? A shortage of doctors? Disastrous. President Obama and the Republicans should have hashed all this out months ago. But both parties are too busy playing politics to look out for the folks. Talking Points expects a compromise will eventually be reached, but all this drama surely reinforces the belief that the American system is rotten and corrupt. And tonight, it's hard to say it is not. And that's a memo. Now with the top stories tonight, reaction. Joining us from Washington, Charles Krauthammer. So, I don't think President Obama can give in after Syria. That's the problem. He can't give in, or he looks even weaker than he looked a couple of weeks ago, right?
He's not going to give in because this is going to give him political advantage. This is a lifeline for an administration that's drowning. His numbers are low. The administration's in disarray, humiliated abroad, an economy stuck in the mud at home. He really got nowhere to go. I think they have been hoping for a shutdown because Obama then gets to go on the stage and to give all that stuff that you showed in your introduction. This is the law of the land. I'm upholding the law, except for one thing. It's completely lawless. He unilaterally changed about 17 provisions in the law after it was passed.
That's right.
You are not allowed to do that under our system. And then he says, but the Republicans are the ones who are being unreasonable because they want to amend another provision. And as you pointed out, Obama already suspended it for the big guys, for big business, you get a year grace. But if you're a little individual, you don't get anything.
So why doesn't he just say, I think it all has to do with Syria, because I think they're playing his macho game. But you're right in the sense that the president is gambling, that the Republican Party is going to just implode from this. But that gamble hurts Americans.
But it's not much of a gamble, because he's got the press, a supine press on his side, that insist on saying it's the Republicans who are at fault. You raised in your talking point the issue of how come these guys, with all the problems you pointed out, the serious contradictions, the difficulties in the law, the doctors who are going to quit, all the stuff you mentioned. But you said, why didn't the Republicans and the president work all this out and compromise over the last month? The reason is this. The Republicans are right in believing that the bill that was passed, this monstrosity that no one read, is so complicated, so contradictory, so overregulated, so impossible that there's no way to salvage it. They went about this completely the wrong way. If you want to insure the uninsured, which I believe a decent society ought to do, then you look at that problem and you look at it seriously. You don't remake 18%
but that's what I'm saying.
of
but
the
you
U.S.
can
economy.
do that. You can do that in a compromise situation. So
no, you can't.
Well, wait. Just let me pose it, and you can shoot it down. So
okay.
I'm President Obama, and I said, you know what? All right, we got a lot of problems with this thing, and it haven't been ironed out. But the people who are going to sign up tomorrow, beginning tomorrow, you can sign up. All right, and then we will do what we said we were going to do. But the other people who would like a waiver, you apply for the waiver, whether it's in the post office, the IRS, whatever you do, and you'll be granted a one-year grace period like we did with the corporations. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with it is all the other stuff you mentioned. The doctors who are quitting, the Cleveland clinic.
But let's see how that unfolds. Let's see it.
But there is look, tomorrow we're going to begin to see what are called euphemistically the glitches. But it's not the glitches. The entire approach of reforming 18% of the economy with thousands of pages of regulation written by experts who don't know anything in the end, and the regulations each have side effects, which are going to interact with each other in a way that nobody understands. It was completely the wrong way to go about this in the first place.
Okay, but we're looking at it now from hindsight, and you're right.
No, it's not hindsight. That's why the GOP... But that's why the Republicans want to abolish it.
But they don't have the power to abolish it.
I understand, but that doesn't mean that they should sit down and try to amend a bill of this complexity and this regulation where it is unamendable, unfixable.
But
I
if they
believe the
buy
GOP,
themselves a year, Charles, if the Republican Party, and I don't know, I think they would go for my compromise. I talked to a few of them, and they said they would. The hardliners wouldn't, but most of the Republicans would. If they buy themselves a year, the Republican Party, into the 2014 elections, and as you say, the monstrosity collapses. Doctors leave. You can't get an appointment. The money is all over the place. The deductibles are humongous. People are getting laid off from jobs. Then it's over. It's over. The Republicans win. See, they win then. So you give it a year to see if they can win.
Look, but that's what the Republicans just are passing as we speak, which is to give a year delay individual mandate. Look, I agree with you entirely. The strategy I would have chosen would have been to do nothing right now, allow it to go into effect. The stories in the press tomorrow, instead of being about the glitches, the disasters, the people who can't sign up, all the contradictions, as you said, the honor system that you have to rely on, computers that cannot calculate what your premium is, what your subsidy is. Instead of the story being about how unwieldy and impossible is the bill, it's going to be all about a shutdown, about the panda cam at the National Zoo shutdown over the government shutdown. It's the wrong story. And if you believe, as I do and as the GOP does, that it's an impossible monstrosity, then why not let it go into effect and the country
But they're not going to let it go
reject
into effect because there's too much invested in them protecting the folks from it. So you're not going to see a Ted Cruz, who I think we're going to have on here in the Factor more, go for that. But I said from the very beginning, let it go, and this could just blow the Democratic Party up entirely, as if we see it as being a terrible thing.
I think you're right. I think what the GOP has done is to throw the Democrats a lifeline.
Yeah.
And that's very unfortunate because it deserves to die.
All right, Charles. Thanks very much. Next on the